Hello and welcome to Generational Blessings again, a division of Worldwide Ministries. And what we're going to be discussing is part 4. What know ye not that your body is the temple of the Holy Ghost which is in you? Ye have not of God, and you're not your own. Part A, herbs. I'm going to go over a few herbs that I like, although I believe all herbs that God created, which are, to be used for health are excellent. And I've seen some incredible results throughout the years, people being healed over and over again of all kinds of ailments. I knew a young lady who was vomiting and the doctors couldn't find out how to stop it and they gave up. And I recommended an herb to her that I was taught, Slippery Elm, that you can't throw up, and she got completely all right. I got completely all right when they had thought I had gastric esophageal disease, and I used Slippery Elm as a food. And I ate that every day until I could eat a banana with it. And then I got completely all right when they did the test. All the problems had went away. They couldn't find anything wrong. I can go on and on and on. My father, who had congestive heart failure, I gave him coenzyme Q10, which I was taught over 70% of the people I read in one book survived afterward. When he came home from the hospital, his heart was not audible with a stethoscope. And I had done critical care nursing. I had never seen anything like it before in my life. And I put him on that, and he started walking the track, and he could only do a little bit at a time. And what I did is I taught him the way I was taught in critical care. Walk just enough to exercise the muscle but not wear it out. So I explained to him the concept of that. So he'd walk a little bit. When he got tired, he'd go back and sit down and go home. And then he kept on until he built up to 3 miles a day in a pretty short time, especially for someone with that type of illness hitting them. And he became incredibly strong. He lived many, many years. I don't know if it was 15 to 20 years he lived. And he died at 91. Another friend of mine who had not had a period for a full year, she said she ran to the best doctors in Manhattan. They couldn't bring it back. And one time I left. This is when I was in my 20s. I left. I said, I can bring it back. And she left. She said, you, how? And I said, let's get you some herbs. And we went down in Manhattan, bought her some herbs, and her period came back in 3 days. Yeah, she said she was fasting and drinking the herb, but her period did come back. She was excited. She went on, as far as I know of. I know at the time she went on Enjoy Life. I don't know what she's doing now. This was so many years ago. But to God be the glory, her period came back. My mother, who had a fibroid tumor the size of a grapefruit, gave her blue cohosh, and her tumor shrank down to the point that her surgeon could not feel it. He asked her what she'd been doing. She told him blue cohosh, and he told her to tell me to call him because his grandmother had used herbs. And being honest, I was young, in my early 20s, did not call him back. But the exciting news is that her fibroid tumor shrank, and she had been hemorrhaging. That went away. In all honesty, then she started eating back to pork. The problem came back. So anyway, we're going to be discussing herbs, and I'm just going to go through a few of them alphabetically. The ones that I like and the ones I'm impressed with. They're all impressive, but I can't do them all, but we're going to go through some of them. First, we have alfalfa. The parts used are flowers, leaves, petals, and sprouts. The chemical and nutrient content are alpha-carotene, beta-carotene, B-complex vitamins, calcium, chlorophyll, copper, essential amino acids, iron, magnesium, phosphorus, potassium, protein, sodium, sulfur, zinc, vitamins A, C, D, E, and K. The action and uses is it alkalizes and detoxifies the body, acts as a diuretic, which takes the fluid off the body, eases inflammations, lowers cholesterol, balances hormones, and promotes pituitary gland function. Also contains an anticoagulant agent, good for anemia, bleeding related disorders, bone and joint disorders, colon and digestive disorders, skin disorders, and ulcers. Must be used fresh, raw, to provide vitamin sprouts are especially effective. Aloe vera, I'm sure this is a lot of people's favorites in skin products. And you can buy it and just drink it, and I have. And I've used it once when I had a chemical burn, and it healed really quickly, and it took the pain and the swelling out. Aloe vera, and what I did is I broke the leaf and I rubbed it directly on. It was a perm, and it burnt my forehead. And I rubbed it, and it was a huge blister. And I rubbed it directly on there, and it took the problem away. Like in days, the pain went away pretty close to within a day, and it went away really fast. So anyway, aloe vera, the parts used are the pulps from inside the succulent leaves, chemical nutrient content, anthraquinone, glucomannan, magnesium lactate polysaccharides. You apply it externally, heals burns and wounds, stimulates cell regeneration, and it does, and has astringent, emollient, antifungal, and antibacterial and antiviral properties. Taken internally soothes the stomach, irritation, aids in healing, and has laxative properties. Good for AIDS and for skin and digestive disorders. Comments, allergy, though rare, may occur in susceptible individuals. Before using, apply a small amount behind your ear and under your arm. If stinging or rash occurs, do not use. Bayberry root and bark. Now, when you're dealing with roots and bark, you boil them about 15 minutes, and then you put a plate over the cup or where you have the solution, and you let it sit until it cools off. Now, when you're dealing with flowers and leaves, you use it just like you would do a regular tea bag, like red rose, tetley, etc. You put the tea leaves in, you pour the boiling water on, and once again you cover it with a plate, and you let it steep. And after it steeps, then you can drink it. All right. So with the bayberry bark, I use that as an enema. I guess I was 18 or 19. I was detoxing my body, and in some literature, it said that it will kill worms that are in the colon. Now, I didn't know if I had any worms, but it said most people do. So when I was detoxing my body, and back then I was a vegetarian for many, many years, it felt wonderful. But when I got pregnant with my son, I didn't feel like I was getting enough protein, and I decided that I would eat boiled chicken with vegetables and stuff like that. I had a really excellent diet, but I didn't stay vegetarian with him. Anyway, this is the herb that I used when I was detoxing and I had become a vegetarian. Bayberry is acrid and astringent resins, albumin, berberine, essential oil, gum, lignin, myricinic acid, starch, sucrose, tannic, and gallic acids. Helps clear congestion, aids circulation, reduces fever, acts as an astringent, helpful for stopping bleeding, good for circulatory disorders, fever, hypothyroidism, and also good for the eyes and immune system. The wax of the berries is used to make fragrant candles. And then in my other book, this is the book that the first book that I found in a health food store when I was 18. And this was the book that I used to live by. Let's see. Let's see here, Bayberry. And I know that just wanted to read it to you really quickly. If I can find it. I wasn't anticipating on doing this. That's why I didn't have it ready. Okay. page 90. Okay, and then it says bayberry, common names of bayberry bush. This book goes through all the different names that people might call the plant in what I assume are different regions. And it says the bark, the leaves, and this one includes the flowers. And it says one of the most valuable and useful herbs. The tea is most excellent gargle for sore throat. It will thoroughly cleanse the throat of all putrid matter. Steep a teaspoon in a pint of boiling water for 30 minutes. Gargle thoroughly until the throat is clear. Then drink a pint of lukewarm tea to thoroughly cleanse the stomach. If it does not come up quickly, tickle the back of the throat. This restores the mucus secretion to normal activity. It says it's used as an emetic after narcotic poisoning. I know in nursing we've used charcoal. It's in the literature. I've never had to use it personally, but I've used it myself with excellent results for stomach problems. Okay. It's good for a douche, and as an enema. So anyway, I can't find it now, but I know that I've used it for worms. It's a long passageway, but believe me, it works. The next one we're going to skip to is the blue cohosh. This is the one that I recommended to my mother for her fibroid tumor, and it's the root. It relieves muscle spasms and stimulates uterine contractions for childbirth, useful for memory problems, menstrual disorders, and nervous disorders, and should not be used during the first 2 trimesters of pregnancy. And that's the one, her tumor shrunk down. She was also using black cohosh. I'm not going to go in there. I can only do so many. When I carried my son, I used red raspberry tea to, because it makes the contractions come quicker. It speeds up childbirth. And he was my first child, and I had him in 4 hours. And when I looked up at the monitor, they were like, look at her contractions. They were doubled. And I had them really quick. Let's see. Now, celery is good for lowering blood pressure. Just regular celery that you eat, the juice, the roots, and the seeds, relieves muscle spasm and improves appetite. Good for arthritis, kidney problem, acts as an antioxidant and a sedative. Do not use a large amount during pregnancy. Dandelion is a favorite of mine because both my children were born with jaundice. So when my son was in the hospital and they told me that his bilirubin level was high, I asked my parents to bring me a jar of dandelion to drink in hopes that it would clear up the jaundice, and it did. I drank that, and the next morning the doctors were astounded. They could not believe that his level had dropped so quick, and he only stayed, I think, a day or two. He didn't stay long, and they sent him home with me. I think it was a day. Anyway, dandelion, the leaves, the roots, and the tops. It has bioflavonoids, biotin, calcium, choline, fats, folic acid, gluten, gum, inositol, inulin, iron, lactopicrine, linolenic, I always have trouble with this one, linolenic acid, magnesium, niacin, pantothenic acid, and it has phosphorus, proteins, resin, sulfur, zinc, vitamins A, B1, B2, B6, B12, C, and E. Cleanses the bloodstream and the liver and increases production of bile. This is an incredible herb. Now you can buy dandelion and you can eat it in your salads at the grocery store. Used as a diuretic, also reduces serum cholesterol and uric acid, improves functioning of the kidneys, pancreas, spleen, and stomach. Useful in abscesses, anemia, boils, breast tumors, cirrhosis of the liver, fluid retention, hepatitis, jaundice, and rheumatism. May aid in the prevention of age spots and breast cancer. Okay. I'm going to go through a few. I'm running out of time, but echinacea, when I learned of it, nobody knew the pronunciation, so I used to say echinacea. Then about 10, 15 years, people start saying echinacea, so echinacea, I guess it is. Golden seal is an incredible. I was told by a scientist that it's 4 times stronger than penicillin. I know it works quicker on me than penicillin does, and it makes you healthy, and it gives me a lot of energy. And then juniper, I've used that, excellent. And primrose is excellent. Skullcap, I've used that to calm my nerves, and it just ran all through my body. One of the things I've learned with herbs, they work better when you don't have a lot of the wrong foods in your body. To me, they work. You can really feel the herb working. And then we discussed slippery elm, and that's all the herbs that we're going to do today. Have a wonderful Christmas and a blessed day.